All right, let's talk about what it really means to be a data analyst. Because, it's so much more than just staring at spreadsheets. It's about being a detective in a world full of data. Today, we're going to look at some amazing real-world problems that data is solving and what the journey to becoming an analyst actually feels like. Let's dive in.
So, to get us started, here's a little riddle for you. What in the world could a high-tech soda machine and your local city zoo possibly have in common? I know, it sounds like the beginning of a weird joke, but the answer is actually hiding right there in plain sight.
And the answer is data. Of course it is. Think about those crazy Coca-Cola Freestyle machines. They're not just pouring soda, they're tracking every single flavor combination people create. That gives Coca-Cola a direct line into what we all want, helping them dream up their next big hit. And the zoo? Well, they're using years of data on weather and ticket sales to predict, with scary accuracy, how many folks will show up on a rainy Tuesday. This lets them get their staffing just right. It's a perfect example of how data makes for smarter decisions in places you'd never expect.
And because data is so powerful, it's no surprise that the demand for people who can work this magic is just exploding. A recent IBM study found over 380,000 open data analytics jobs in the US alone. The opportunity here is just massive.
But here's the thing. Grabbing one of those jobs isn't about following some neat, straight line from point A to point B. The path to a career in analytics is usually a winding road, and it's full of these unexpected turns that actually end up being super valuable.
I love how data analyst Anna Leach describes it. She says the path is an adventure. It's not about having this perfect map from day one. It's about embracing that journey and letting every experience you have kind of shape what comes next. And for a lot of people, that journey leads to a place that feels really meaningful. Analytics program manager Joey knew he was in the right spot when he realized he was actually having fun at work. He put it perfectly. It's not just a technical job, it's the thrill of solving a mystery, a riddle.
So, okay, if the analyst is a detective, what kind of mysteries are we talking about here? Well, at its core, the job is all about taking a big business problem and digging through mountains of data to find the hidden clues that will crack the case wide open.
Now, in the analytics world, there's a name for that central mystery. It's called the business task. This is the specific, focused question you're trying to answer for the company. And trust me, getting this right is the absolute starting point for everything that follows.
You see, businesses have always made decisions, right? A lot of the time, they've relied on a leader's gut feeling or just what they see around them. But that's kind of like seeing the world in black and white. You only get a tiny piece of the picture. Data, on the other hand, lights up the whole landscape in full color, showing you things you never would have seen otherwise.
Let's jump back to our zoo for a second to see how this works. Remember the problem? Unpredictable weather was causing total chaos with staffing. So the business task was clear. Figure out how to predict attendance based on the weather. The analyst's job was to gather the data, clean it up, analyze it, and then present their findings. And the solution? A zoo that can make really smart staffing decisions, which makes for a better day for the visitors, the staff, and probably the animals too.
But look, data is an incredibly powerful tool. And with that kind of power comes a really serious responsibility. An analyst's job isn't just to find an answer, it's to make sure that answer is fair.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Hold on a second. How can facts be unfair? Data is just numbers, right? It's subjective. And that is a fantastic question, because the answer really gets to the heart of what makes an analyst truly great.
So picture this. There's a company with a real boys' club culture. They look at their data and see that, yep, only men are getting promoted. Now, a lazy or unfair analysis might just say, well, the data shows men perform better, so let's hire more men. But that conclusion completely misses the real story. A fair analysis digs deeper and says, wait a minute, it looks like our company culture is holding talent people back. We need to fix the culture so everyone has a chance to succeed. See the difference? It's everything.
So how do analysts avoid those traps? They build fairness right into their process from the start. That means looking at all the data, not just the bits that confirm what they already think. It also means using clever techniques like oversampling. For example, if a minority group is only, say, 2% of your data, a computer model might just ignore them. Oversampling basically creates digital copies of that group's data, forcing the model to pay attention and learn their patterns. It helps make sure the final result is fair for everyone.
Ultimately, it all boils down to something Alex, a research scientist on an ethical AI team, said so perfectly. Data are people. Behind every single number, every row in that spreadsheet, there's a human being, a human story.
A great analyst never, ever forgets that.
Okay, so we've covered the what and the why of being a data analyst. Now let's talk about the how. How do you actually find your place in this world and start your own adventure? Let's get into some practical steps.
First things first, you gotta know the players. You'll hear titles like data analyst, data scientist, and data specialist thrown around. They might sound similar, but they're pretty different. Here's a simple way to think about it. An analyst solves today's problems with today's data. A scientist builds new tools to predict the future. And a specialist is the master who builds and maintains the whole data library. Knowing that helps you zero in on what's right for you.
Next up, it's time to think about you. What industries are you actually passionate about? Gaming, healthcare, the environment? What kind of place do you want to work? A crazy, fast-paced startup or a more structured, established company? Answering these questions for yourself is going to help you find a role that isn't just a paycheck, but a place where you'll actually be happy.
And then, when it's interview time, a few pro tips can make a huge difference. You've got to show your work. Put your projects on places like GitHub or a personal portfolio. And don't just click Apply online. Try to connect with actual humans at the company. And please, please always come ready with smart questions for them. It shows you're not just looking for any old job, you're looking for the right one.
You know, we started with a couple of problems: how to invent a new soda and how to staff a zoo. The entire journey of a data analyst, whether it's big or small, always starts with one single problem that needs a solution. So, as we wrap this up, I'll just leave you with this one question. What problem will you solve? Your adventure is just getting started.